the chance and the opportunity to speak in front of you relating to the role of leadership in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of any organization. Before I go into the details, let me have a brief introduction of myself. As you know, my name is Pradip Bandyopadhyay. I am a HR and IR professional, having more than 25 years of experience working in various capacities across a range of industries, starting from media to cement to chemicals and paints to security services. I'm based out of Kolkata. Currently, I am heading the HR verticals of Bandhan Group. You must be knowing about Bandhan Bank. I am heading the other three verticals of Bandhan Group, namely the healthcare, the microfinance, and the education vertical. So this is a brief introduction about me. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. A couple of points which I would like to share with you before we start the session. Sorry. During the session, participants cannot unmute themselves. They may use the Zoom chat box for questions, which will be addressed during the question and answer sessions. And the feedback or the attendance link will be shared during the question and answer session and will be available for only 15 minutes. Certificates will be issued only to those who submit the feedback form. Keeping these 2 points in mind, let us start the discussion. Glad to see that the participants are joining, and I hope that in the coming few minutes, we will have a good number of participants who would be a part of these deliberations. Let me tell you very clearly, I'll make an effort to roll the highlight of leadership in organizations, how effectiveness it can be. You are always there to ask any questions, any issues which may arise in course of my deliberations. At the same time, I would request your valuable inputs also, so that I can also enrich myself with your inputs on the topic which is being dealt with. So what I will do is that I'll have, initially I'll have a couple of discussions, discourses. Then I have a short presentation, which I will present in front of you. And after that, definitely I will conclude with my views, and definitely I would request yours also to add in, so that it becomes a joint and a collaborative approach relating to the learning on leadership. So let me start with a couple of memorable quotes as far as leadership is concerned. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. A very famous quote from John Maxwell. Henry Ford, in one of his speeches, had said, "You don't have to hold a position in order to become a leader." Something so significant. And Peter Drucker had mentioned that management is doing the things right, leadership is doing the right things. So, against the backdrop of the thought process of such visionaries, I would like to start the leadership session with a few inputs relating to the styles of leadership, which most of you are aware of. In spite of that, let me go through the different styles of leadership before we come of the effectiveness and efficiency of the leaders. As you know, that there are various styles of leadership depending upon the person who is in a leadership position and also the organizations in which the person is working or is associated with. To name a few, I would like to have the different names, or I would like to highlight the different types of leadership, of which the transformational is one which requires mention, wherein a leader who rallies their team around a challenging project and inspires them to push beyond their comfort zones and celebrate their achievements. So it's a more of a supportive type of leadership, which we call as a transformational leadership. Democratic leadership, a leader who holds regular meetings, team meetings to discuss ideas, seeks input from team members on projects and takes decision based on collective inputs. As the name says, it's a democratic way of approach wherein you have the views of all the concerned in your team to have share their views, and after that, once you have the analysis, then you take a decision. And autocratic leadership is just the opposite. It's a leader who dictates tasks, sets deadlines without consultation, and makes decisions without considering team members' input. So, as the name suggests, again, autocracy is something which, as you know, is absolutely non-consultative in approach. You need not consult anybody. You need not take the opinion of anybody. You set the task, you set the guidelines, you direct your team members to do it. So it's something which is forced upon. You thrust upon what you want to do, and you just ensure that your team members do the task without asking or without clarifying for any reason whatsoever. Then we come to the transactional leadership. Who is a transactional leader? A leader who sets specific performance targets, monitors progress, and rewards employees for achieving those targets while also addressing performance issues. A very rational way of dealing with leadership, I think, is the transactional leadership. Performance targets are set, monitoring of how the performances are being done. If the targets are met, then rewarding the employees. It's basically a transactional type of leadership where you have the transactions being set, you are delivering you have the sets of deliverables, things are getting delivered, you reward them, and again you come to the next approach. The next is the laissez-faire approach, wherein a leader who trusts their team to manage their work without constant supervision, providing support and resources when needed. No direct control. It's just you just oversee the operations, oversee how the team or your team members are performing, and you provide them with the required support. So laissez-faire is something, it's sort of free trade as the word it comes from. So it's something, a free type of leadership wherein you don't have any direct supervision, but you support your team members with whatever resources that is required for the accomplishment of the definite task. We have the servant leadership, a leader who prioritizes his team's well-being, provides opportunities for growth and development, and celebrates their achievements. It's something you can tell a servant type of relationship where you prioritize. You always go on prioritizing what the team is up to, the team's well-being, the team welfare, the team's goodness, and you provide opportunities for the growth and development of the team members, and always you celebrate their achievements. It's a sense of belongingness wherein you prioritize the entire team members to do the task. So you are at the back seat, you are taking the position of a servant, and your team is at the top and at the helm of affairs. Bureaucratic approach of leadership. Leaders follow rules and regulations closely, emphasizing structure and order. They are very, very structured in their approach. They follow the rules, they do not deviate, and they go as per the set guidelines, which is mentioned as per the organization is concerned. It's something of bureaucracy from where the word comes. It's a bureaucratic type of leadership. Coaching, another type of leadership. Leaders focus on developing team member skills and abilities, providing guidance and feedback. It is something supporting. You know what the skills, where the lacuna is. At the same time, you provide the support, you guide them, you develop these people. Development is something very important. So it's a leader. It's a sort of mentoring which you are doing to your team members, so that your team members are in a position to perform their task. Visionary leaders create a compelling vision for the future and inspire others to achieve it. Leaders who have the thought process in the coming 10, 15 years where the organization will be. So they are visionary leaders. Participative leaders involve team members in decision-making process. It's something where it's mandated in the part of the team members that you come, be a part of the decision-making process. So it's a collective decision-making process where all the team members are ensured that they are participated and they are in a part of that entire decision. Charismatic leadership. Leaders inspire and motivate others through their charmed, persuasive communication skills. It's also, you find in many organizations where you are attracted to the leaders of his charismatic approach. The leaders, they become an enigma. There is a sense of awe, a sense of reverence. So that itself is a style which the leader implements it. People look up to them. It's something, an awe, a figure a figure approach where you have some sort of respect towards the leaders. Leaders follow and do it as per their charismatic approach. Pace-setting leaders. Leaders set high standards and lead by example, pushing for results and performance. Here, the criteria, the bar for the performance is taken into consideration, where the leaders set their bars, the leaders set their targets, they ensure that the team is up to that target and they perform the tasks, and they push the team, they help the team to achieve that target and to perform in as per the requirement of the organization. Lastly, we have the situational leadership, where the leaders adopt the style to the specific situation and team members' needs and requirements. This is something very common, where you see, depending upon the situation, a leader adopts the situation and the circumstances, and accordingly, they adopt their style, and accordingly, they persuade or influence the team members to perform as per the situation or the requirement. So broadly, these are the different styles or types of leadership. There are other styles also, but what I thought is pertinent as far as the requirement for running or performance of an organization is concerned, if we map the leaders, you will find they come under either of these 13 categories of the styles of leadership. Now, the next area where I thought of touch basing is the theories of leadership, where it's something which is something very interesting. But at the same time, I thought that we need to touch base the different theories of leadership before we can analyze and assess the role of leadership in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization. So, in the theories of leadership, we have broadly 5 theories of leadership, wherein you have, I think most of you are aware of, we have the great man theory or the trait theory, which is a very old and a very known theory, where people are of the opinion that leaders are born and not made, and great leaders will arise when there is a great need. So on the basis of these two propositions, the great man theory, the trait theory was established. We have examples of people like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, where people still debate that they were great leaders and they were born, they were not made. So it's a type of personification of the leadership with some great idols in the history, and it is on the basis of that great man or the great person who is there holding the leadership position, we have the great man theory or the trait theory. Next, we have the behavioral theories. On the basis of the research which we have on the behaviors exhibited by the leaders, we have a couple of case studies, which is Ohio State Studies, University of Michigan Studies, and also the managerial grade. In this connection, I would like to mention that the managerial grade is one of the most popular and famous theories supporting the behavioral approach of leadership, wherein I think many of you are aware that Robert Blake and Jane Morton established this managerial theory, which we have a 9x9 matrix, where we can come up with 5 leadership styles: the impoverished, the country club, the task, the middle of the road, and the team. So it is basically the 2 quadrants are basically concern for people and the concern for production. And depending upon where the leadership the instinct is, we come up with the definite leadership styles of that particular leader. It's a very famous managerial grid. Coming to the third theory of leadership, which is known as the contingency or situational theories, we have, as I just mentioned a few minutes back, we have leadership depending on the situations, wherein one of the most famous is the Fiedler model. We have another very famous concept which came up is the Hershey and Blanchard situational leadership theory, wherein we have the task behavior and relationship behavior, a combination of these two, wherein we have again 4 types of leadership style. One is the participating style, the selling style, the delegating style, and the telling style. The participating style is again sharing of ideas. Selling style is explain the decisions which you have taken. Delegating style is turn over the decisions. And the telling style is give narrations or give instructions. So this is basically a very famous model, situational leadership theory by Hershey and Blanchard, wherein again they have divided the x-axis and y-axis into 4 quadrants on the basis of which the inputs they have taken, and we have these 4 styles of leadership coming up. Then we have the third part of this contingency situational leadership. We have the leader member exchange theory. Will you have the LMX theory, wherein the leader tend to act differently with different people, and leaders cannot use a fairly homogeneous style. This style is again a part of this contingency situational theories, wherein the basic approach of leadership is that the leader has to act differently with different people. We cannot have any homogeneous settings in leadership, and there is no fit rule or fit instructions which will be applicable to all set of people in your team. So that is known as the leader member exchange theory, in short, which we know as the LMX theory. The fourth one under this contingency or situational theory is the path goal theory, which was uh, first discovered by Martin Evans and Robert House, wherein it's mentioned that the effective leaders classify the path to help their followers to move forward from their current position towards achieving the work goals. So it is basically the clarification of the path. It's something, again, a type of coaching or a mentoring where if there is any ambiguity relating to the path to which you need to address to in order to achieve your goals, in order to achieve or meet your targets, the leader is there to clarify the path to help their followers achieve the goals and to move forward from their current position. This is known as the path goal theory. The last of this contingency situation theories comes the leadership participation model. Again, a model which was first brought into the organizational behavior world by Victor Vroom and Philip Yetton, wherein it is said that 3 sets of variables affect the performance of a leader in terms of his capacity as a decision maker. First is the quality of the decision. Secondly is the degree of acceptance of the decision by the subordinates. And thirdly is the time required in making the decision. So if you see 3 sets, again, I'm repeating, 3 sets of variables affect the performance of the leader as a decision maker. And here the leader is being defined as a decision maker, and the variable factors relating to which are the sets, which are the variables which affect the decision includes the quality of the decision, degree of acceptance of the decision, that means your acceptability as a leader to your team members, and the time factor is very critical over here, the time required in making the decision. So this is a leadership participation model. It again, another point which we can add in this leadership participation model by Victor Vroom and Philip Yetton is that continuum from authoritarian approach to consultative approach to group-based approach. So it is basically a continuum which moves from the authoritarian approach to consultative approach to group-based approach. So these are basically the 5 major theories or propositions, or I would say theories supported by studies on the contingency and situational theories of leadership. So going by what I was telling relating to theories of leadership, that great man theory or the trait theory, we have the behavioral theories, we have the contingency or situational theories, and lastly, and the second last thing which we come to the theory is the transactional theory of leadership, which was again, I've again repeated in the leadership styles, that this transactional theory of leadership was first promulgated by Max Weber in 1947. Then Bernard Bass in 1981 again propounded this theory, wherein it's mentioned that people perform their best when the chain of command is definite and clear. It's something very professional approach as far as leadership is concerned. Workers are motivated by rewards and punishment. Second point. Third point is obeying the instructions and commands of the leader is a primary goal of the followers. And fourth point, subordinates need to be carefully monitored to ensure that expectations are met. Again, I come with the 4 points relating to the transactional theory. I've already mentioned before in my leadership styles that transactional approach is one of the most accepted and professional approach as far as leadership styles are concerned, wherein again, it's people perform their best when the chain of command is definite and clear, obvious. You need to be very clear and definite. Workers are motivated by rewards and punishment. Again, an obvious thing that you only get motivated. It's a question of carrot and stick approach. Obeying the instructions and commands of the leader is the primary goal of the followers, and subordinates need to be carefully monitored to ensure that expectations are met. So these are basically the 4 points which support the transactional theory of leadership. Now we come to the last, which is the transformational theory of leadership, which again is equated with the charismatic leadership of some individual, wherein it is said that in order to bring transformation to the followers, charisma of the leader is important. A leader inspires his or her followers to transcend their own self-interests for the betterment of the organization. It is something, again, the question of your influence over your teammates, over your subordinates, over your team members through your own charisma, wherein the people get influenced through your charisma, through your personality traits in order to get things delivered. Over here, leaders pay attention to the developmental needs and concerns of the followers and inspire followers to give a new outlook for the old problems. And this motivates the followers towards achievement of the goals of the organization by giving the organization a new perspective. According to Bass and Rio, there are 4 dimensions to the transformational theory, which we are discussing right now. One is idealized influence. What is it? Leaders act as role models and they exhibit high morals and ethical standards. Again, you yourself set the standard as a role model. Ethically, you are up to the fullest extent, and you yourself become a model for the others to follow. Inspirational motivation, the second point, which says that leaders inspire in various ways and give meaning to their work and bring new challenges and enthusiasm. So it's a sort of inspiration. You give the inspiration to your people, to your team members, to your colleagues, wherein people get motivated through your inspirational approach. Intellectual stimulation. Leaders stimulate the intellectual ability of the followers. Leaders stimulate the way of thinking and thus raise the creativity and promote intelligence, rationality, and problem solving skills. So it is again another way of exerting your influence over your teammates by having the stimulation done through intellectual stimulations, wherein the creativity, the intelligence, the rationality, and the problem solving skills of your team members increase. And lastly is the individualized consideration, where leaders pay more attention to the individual needs of development of the subordinate. So it's something of an individualized consideration. You look into it on an individual perspective. So again, to conclude, transformational theory of leadership has the following points. One is the idealized influence, wherein you have a role model being set by a leader. Inspirational motivation, wherein you inspire your team to perform better. Intellectual stimulation, where you stimulate your team members intellectually so as to increase in rationality, problem solving, intelligence. You are promoting this to your team members. And individualized consideration, which means leaders pay more attention to the individual development or the needs for of his own team members or his subordinates. So these are basically the five uh, theories relating to the leadership. I've just touch based. There are so many points. There are so many case studies which we can always discuss, but owing to paucity and time, and owing to other other areas which I need to touch base, I leave it to the uh, persons or the erudite audience who are here to study more and have a clearer understanding of what it is all about. So these are basically the theories and the approaches to leadership. Uh, Now, I would request if you can give me a minute's time so that I can share the presentation which I was thinking of sharing with you, a couple of slides which I thought, I hope it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So, to start with, I would request this the topic that was set is role of leadership in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of any organization. I think there are four areas where the role of leadership in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness in organization has. First of all, leaders have to have clear goals. That is something very important, because without leader, you cannot set a goal. You should always have uh, environment where you encourage a culture of change, because in today the only constant word that is there is the change. So you need to have a culture, encourage a culture of change within your organization. Investing in the growth of employees. A leader is only successful when his employees grows. So in that case, you need to invest your in the growth of the employees, and you need to take decisions or make decisions based on data. A leader cannot have something which is absolutely hypothetical, because when you are a leader, please, you need to keep it in mind that your decisions matter, the organization, the association, and not only the association, your decisions will affect and matter considerably to your team members who are looking up to you as a true leader. So in that way, it's something very important that you need to make decisions based out of data only. Next is that the productive leader can improve efficiency by getting the most out of their team. That is obvious. A leader needs to ensure that everyone is working towards the same goal. We have seen sometimes in working in teams that if the goal is not set, people tend to work in divergent ways and tend to work in different ways, which creates some sort of disorder, which creates a barrier to the accomplishment of the goals. A leader is to ensure that everyone is working towards the same goal and the objective is same and definite. And then it's provide guidance and direction while delegating tasks to make the most of everyone's strength. A leader is there, you need to provide the guidance, you need to provide the direction. People look up to you, people see to you that how where you are, because whenever it's a very common phenomenon. Whenever we are stuck up, we look up to the person who can direct us, who can take us in the right direction, and that person is the leader of me. That's the person, leader of the entire group. So taking that into consideration, you need to ensure that definitely there should be somebody who can provide the able guidance and direction. The role of leadership in organizational effectiveness. Leadership is responsible for recognizing the need for change, communicating it effectively to their teams. Whenever there is any change, the team looks up to the leader to see to it how the leader is reacting, and at the same time, it has to be communicated effectively to their teams. Managing the transition while minimizing disruption. It's something very important. We have seen in today's world, there are so many changes occurring every minute, so many transitions taking place from one end to the other end. Under this context, the leader has to play a very, very specific role. He has to manage the transition without minimize, and while minimizing disruption. The transition process should not disrupt the activities or the performance of the team. Coming to the role of leadership in team effectiveness, the leader has to inspire their teams with a sense of purpose and vision. It's something very critical. The leader has to lay out the directions and provide updates for their work teams. Leaders need to show their teams how changes impact their individual goals and purpose. So it's something inspire their teams with a sense of purpose and vision. You need to inspire. Sometimes you see working in teams. In fact, we have noticed that when the team is working in a project which is of a longer duration, sometimes you tend to lose the zeal for giving you the 100%. Herein, the leader comes. They have to inspire the teams and with a sense of purpose and vision. They also need to provide the layout, the directions. A leader is a director. He or she can only direct the persons who are working in a team under him to where they are, what is they're up to, and what is the percentage of their achievement, and what still needs to be done. So the updates of the work and the work teams. And leaders need to show their teams how changes impact their individual goals and purpose. So these are some of the role of leadership in team effectiveness, which I thought of sharing with you. Now, moving to the next slide, we have over here a slide which shows the forms of personal influence in organizations. I've just referred to what type of influence that a person can be in the form of leadership, obviously, wherein you can see that it has been divided broadly into a dictator, owner or a boss, a supervisor or an administrator, a transactional or a managerial, a transformation leader, or a consensus building leader. Now, the description is, you know what a dictator is all about. It imposes will on organization, abuses others, sees human resources and instrumental to his or her own ends. So a dictator has a typical way of performing wherein whatever he says is final. He imposes his strictures and directives upon the organization without considering what will be the consequences, and sees the human resources as instrumental to meet his her own ends, which is something very alarming and very disturbing. The next we come is the owner, the boss, wherein you have which exudes a sense of ownership and prerogatives that accompany it. It's like a bossy attitude wherein I am the owner. I always have a sense of ownership. I have certain prerogatives which accompany my sense of ownership. So it's something of a bossy type of attitude which is had. We have the supervisor or administrator, which is a very administrative savvy. Vision, usually they have a very narrow vision. They don't want to move out from what it's laid as per the guidelines. Transactional managerial, I've already discussed. It's basically very focused. Very approach is absolutely on the setting of the tasks, monitoring the tasks, accomplishment of the tasks, and rewarding the team members after the completion of the task. A transformation leader is one who transforms within himself and also inspires his team to go for the transformation. And we have the consensus building leader, wherein a leader considers himself to be one of the partners in the accomplishment or achievement of the task. So these are basically the forms of personal influence which we have in organizations based on certain researches or surveys which has been done. And these are the behavioral traits which have come up when on the basis of the studies and the outcomes of the studies which has been done. So moving to the next slide, we have a very hackneyed controversy which comes up is leadership and management versus management controversy. A question which I would like, which many people ask, or which I would like to place in front of this forum is that just because you are a boss, can you be a leader? Which is more important to an effective organization, leadership or management? Management is a bottom line focus. leadership deals with the top line. So I think the basic difference relating to the leadership and management is uh, an approach or the focus. It's something which is in the bottom line and something which is deals with the top line. As rightly said by Peter Drucker and Warren Bennis, management is doing things right, leadership is doing the right things. Management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall. A very, a very subtly conveyed expression by two of the management gurus relating to what leadership and management is all about. So one is climbing the ladder of success, and one is whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall or not. So this is basically addendum to what I was thinking of discussing relating to the leadership versus management controversy. A boss can not always be a leader. A leader has to be there. Even if a boss is there, we have seen in groups, in teams, in organizations that a leader automatically comes up who is revered and regarded as the person who will show the path, who will show the way. Moving to the next slide, we have a few things which requires discussion, that leadership and its impact on organizational success. We have seen how organizations have transformed through great leaders, be it in the uh, business scenario, be it in the political scenario, be it in a socio-economic scenario. We have seen the importance of leadership, how leaders have influenced masses, how leaders have swayed the masses to their thoughts and beliefs and processes, and how they have brought about fundamental and instrumental changes in a society, be it the society as a large or be it the organization in a macro point of consideration. So uh, leaders play a very, very important critical role on organizational success. Next, the power of leadership in shaping organizational culture. Again, a very important topic. The leadership is the main or the pivotal plays a pivotal role in shaping the organizational culture. We boast of certain organizations having a great culture. What do you mean by culture? It's basically certain values which are embedded in the system, where the leaders play a very critical role in getting those values implemented across the rank and file of the organization. That is the power of leadership. Next, driving employee morale and productivity through leadership. I've already discussed this before. Employee morale plays a very significant part. Until the employee is motivated, you cannot expect an employee to be to do the best of his or her abilities. So a leader has to drive the employee morale and productivity. Leadership and strategic direction. Again, it's a leader who can take a strategic decision. A leader can show the strategy. A leader helps in the adoption of strategy and implementation of the strategy. Leadership impact on change management. We have been noticing in today's world that there are so many areas where change management is being embraced by organizations. The most and the critical role while embracing change management in organization is the leadership, what the leadership is doing, how much effective the leadership is in accepting that change which is coming, whether they are ready to go with the change, whether they are ready to implement that change within the rank and file of the organization. Something so critical and valuable as far as change management is concerned. Again, it's the leadership where we look up to as far as this change management is concerned. Moving to why do organizations need effective leadership? Again, a couple of points which I thought needs to be discussed is number one is the vision. Leaders develop a clear vision of long short-term goals of the organization. We have the communication. Capable leaders are effective communicators. This we have seen time and again. Decision making, good leaders are strong decision makers. Absolutely right. Until this, you are a strong decision maker, you cannot be a leader. Leaders have to take decisions, even that decision is proved to be wrong later, but they have to come to a conclusion or a decision. Passion. Passionate leaders drive their teams to complete ambitious business projects, already mentioned. Guidance. Effective leaders provide systematic guidance. Again, it's a sort of guidance, coaching, mentoring, whatever you say. Commitment. Influential leaders are professionals who commit to an organization's vision, mission, and success of the business endeavors. Absolutely. Unless you have that sense of commitment from within yourself, how can you deliver? And people who are committed to the maximum extent are those persons who deliver and who influence the team to the maximum extent. Integrity. Leaders have to teach ethical values until leaders themselves are ethical and honest and have that integrity within themselves. How can they teach others? So they have to have that integrity. Confidence, most important thing, one of the most important thing. It's a crucial asset of effective leadership. You need to have that confidence, because if you do not have the confidence, your team will look up to and see that my leader doesn't have any confidence. So where are we heading to? It's a goalless, aimless area where we are approaching to. Morale, good leadership helps boost staff morale by uplifting their spirits. Again, I've explained this in a few minutes back. Growth. Organization continues to grow and develop under the guidance of group leader. Definitely, you need to give not only the organization, but you need to give your employees also that reasonable growth opportunities so that they are in a position to grow along with the growth of the organization. Coordination, balance between the personal interests with shared organizational objectives. Again, that fine strike of balance has to be there with the personal interest and the objectives which the organization has shared relating to the accomplishment of the task or the goal or of the objective which the organization look forward in the long run. Again, coming to the qualities of a good leader, first of all, a good leader has to be a good innovator. Good leaders are great innovators who impress and suggest new ideas. Again, I've discussed this before. Honesty, absolutely essential. No leadership practice or strategy can be successful without honest leaders. Active listening, you need to be a very active listener in order to become a good leader. Influential leaders are active listeners who want to know about their employers' problems or issues. Delegation, again, something very important. Delegating tasks to other proficient employees shows the leader's trust and belief in their capabilities. Delegation has two-way meaning. First of all, say first what is mentioned over here, that once you delegate, the employees below you feel more empowered that they have been given certain tasks and responsibilities. At the same time, the employees are also having that trust and belief that the leaders believe in themselves that they can get the task being done. So delegation has a very wider meaning. And I've seen, maybe out of the experience, that there are hardly very few leaders out there who actually delegate the task. People, maybe it's an inherent human tendency to get things in one hand and to see to it that the power or the power of influence as regards to my what am I span of control. But actually, a true leader is one who is able to delegate its responsibilities with an accountability of how his team is doing. Next is problem solving. Good leaders are unpredictable, so they possess. Good leaders know problems are unpredictable, so they possess practical problem solving, time management, and analytical skills to consider the impact of an issue and find workable solutions to the problem. As you know, uh, problems are always unpredictable. You cannot tell that this problem is coming with a definite time period. So it's a good leader who needs to have that capability in getting the problem solved through analytical skills, through time management, and find a workable solution to the problem. So these are a few of the slides which I thought of sharing relating to what effective and efficient leadership is all about. Again, coming to the initial discussions when it started, uh, wherein the role of leadership in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of any organization is being discussed. I would like to quote Peter Drucker again, that he mentioned that efficiency is doing things right, effectiveness is doing the right things. So, taking this into consideration, relating to the role of leadership, in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of any organization, I would like to conclude my deliberations with a quote from one of the ex-president of the United States of America, Ronald Reagan, wherein he mentioned the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He's the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. So with this, I end my deliberations. I look forward to the questions and answers. I think, as advised, you need to give the questions and answers in the chat box and in the Zoom chat box. And I would like to conclude with thanking Dr. Ramakanta Patra, President AIMS, AIMS, all the board members, AIMS Secretariat, and all the participants who have come here, who have spent their valuable time, who have listened to what I have said, and who are a part of these deliberations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we have one question. Manager or leader who is effective, from Dr. Venugopal.
A manager manages the things, and a leader gets the things done in the right way. A leader is someone who is more than a manager. That is what I think. A manager definitely is a leader because he has to deliver the things at the end of the day. But a leader is someone who is more than a manager. He has a vision, he has a mission, he has to lead the entire team. So in any setup, it may so happen that you find a manager, at the same time you can see a leader also automatically coming up. So a manager is someone who has been set up as per the requirement of the organization, fine. And but a leader is one who comes up spontaneously. So a leader is something who is more than a manager. That is what I can. Thank you.
So one more question from Dr. Maitreyi. Leader is silent means what?
Leader is silent means either it's a question of acceptance, that nothing is wrong, things are moving in the right direction. That is what a leader is silent. Because if the leader is not silent, that means he has certain things to say, which may or may not be as per what his team is doing. So in that way, a leader, he has something to say. So a leader is silent means passively is giving consent to what the things are going. It's in the right direction. Yes, please.
So one more question. How common good HRM can build a better leader with values and transparency?
Now, the transparency and values are embedded in any organization. HRM can go for spreading the value statement, because you see, if there are certain impediments, if the organization is not up to that values or up to that transparency which is expected from that organization, HRM can go to a considerable extent. But ultimately, it's the organization, the promoters, the mentors of the organization has to come forward in developing that values and transparency within the organization. And if you have a values and transparency embedded in the organization, obviously a better leader will come up automatically. That is, I've seen it through my experience. So that is what I see in a wider perspective. Yes, please.
Dr. Namita Jain, new avenues for research in this field.
I didn't get the question, please, if it can be elaborated.
Dr. Namita, can you please elaborate the question?
I
Research
predict there is
gaps in the
some
leadership domain, sir. She
research
mentioned
gaps
as
in the
research
leadership
gaps in
domain. Whatever I have discussed today is on the basis of the researches which have been conducted and which are all well-established theories, which is on the basis of certain research models. Now, new leadership thoughts process are coming up. Researches, I'm yet to comment whether adequate researches are being done in those leadership domain which is coming up of late. But what I have discussed is on the basis of certain established theories or researches which have been done, experimented, and established, and which has come to a conclusion. But maybe going by what the leadership thought process is of as of now today, there may be a possibility of having research gaps. I need to explore this before coming to any conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
I think we can conclude the sessions.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.